Hi there. Welcome to Business Leadership Podcast. In this podcast, I interview successful business leaders and industry experts to help you grow your business. In this episode, I had a very interesting discussion with Andrew Z. Brown. Andrew helps organizations increase revenue, enhance reputation, shorten sales cycles, and improve trust felt by key stakeholders. He's a lead author of 2 plus 2 equal to 5, a complete playbook for creating strategic alliances that is greater than sum of his parts. He's the lead author of Putting It All Out There, the complete playbook for selling product and services through the right channels. He's a co-author of one of the best reviewed Canadian business books, Business Truth, and he's also contributed to Financial Post executive section on a marketing strategy, product innovation, strategic alliances, C-suite communication, and social media. He's also a former producer of Canada's most successful business podcast, The Business Cast, with a loyal following of over 100,000 plus business leaders and business owners. And he's also a former board of director for a product accelerator and association of strategic alliance professionals. And he's also author of Do or Die Communication series for Arlie Dickinson's from a Dragon's Den blog. And finally, he's also author of many white papers, and he's been quoted in over 350 articles published in several magazines. Now, we had an interesting discussion around Andrew's new book, Get Referred. Andrew shared insights on why refer business is one of the overlooked and underrated opportunities in any business. He also talks about what it takes to set up a business as a refer business and how much time, cost, and effort it takes to run this refer business process for any organization. And he also talks about some of the common failures for when you're trying to set up a business as a refer business for a success. If you're a business owner or any business leadership position, you're trying to scale a business, don't miss this discussion. This might be the opportunity that you're missing to scale your business. I hope you enjoyed this discussion as much I did. Don't forget to share this with your friends. Until next time, please welcome Andrew Z. Brown. Hi guys, welcome to Business Leadership Podcast. Today our guest is Andrew Z. Brown. Andrew, I just gone through your book, Get Referred. Very interesting book. And learn so much from your book. And I'm looking forward to a discussion. And I'm hoping the audience will, they will understand what they need to use at a for business, part of the sales process, and how can they scale companies, how can they grow the companies. So I'm looking forward to a discussion. Thank you so much for your time today.
Gurmeet, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to join you today.
So I see that this book just became an Amazon bestseller recently.
That's correct. I've been very fortunate, actually. And I think it speaks to the fact that a lot of people are looking for a systematic way of really harnessing referrals because there's an inherent understanding or value in referrals. But the world is messy, and trying to harness that and direct it and make sense of it and get business results can be difficult. So the book lays out a systematic approach for doing that. And the book came out just a few months ago. And actually, since it was launched in Amazon, it uh, quickly went to number one in sales and sales techniques and marketing. And I think it's still in the top 20, and so it's beating out some of the well-known stuff like spin selling and the challenger sales. So I'm really gratified
Good for you.
people are finding value.
Yeah. So what inspired you to write this book? Let's start from there. So what's the behind, you've been working in this area for a long time. So
Yeah.
what inspired you to write this book and how did you approach the book?
So I hope you have a minute. I'll be as succinct as possible. So, for over 30 years, I've worked in professional services and financial services, software as a service, and digital marketing agencies to help companies grow by increasing revenues. And I've held, executive marketing, communication, business development, and sales positions. And during this time, I have written a number of articles, and I worked with dozens of tools meant to optimize every stage of the sales cycle, particularly generating leads. That's always hard. And I consistently found that new, good quality leads were coming in via trusted referral sources. And that was happening in parallel to sales and marketing initiatives. So while organizations were building infrastructures, budgets, and content to deploy digital tools, when it came to selling really big ticket or high value offerings, these tools, these digital tools, were secondary. And I also found the ways that organizations were leveraging referral sources had negative consequences. So, referral sources were being overused and neglected and disrespected. And as a result, businesses were losing existing customers and they experienced reputational loss and damage when referral sources weren't representing a company well. And the companies were also alienating referral sources and lost what would have been some really truly high value leads. And I knew there just had to be a better way of harnessing referral sources' energies and enthusiasm while avoiding the potential downsides.
Mm.
So while I was working inside these organizations, selling big ticket offerings and products and services, I was rolling out and refining a better way to systematically tap into, again, the energies and the talents of referral sources. So that was really uh, the reason behind it, but it's very much grounded in quantitative results and behavior that I observed in a lot of organizational studies. And in fact, the book itself did independent research of 600 companies across different lines of business and different types of businesses, as well as had it validated throughout the writing process. So I really wanted to give something that people could see as more than just a roadmap, because roadmaps are great, but I wanted to let people know that they could be successful and do it on their own. And they can actually see awesome results in a relatively short period of time.
Very interesting. So, you made a very good points, and but I think, if this makes so much common sense, it makes so much logical sense for business to adopt and implement it. But a lot of business leaders I know, my colleagues, we don't do that, and I'm guilty of that as well. We don't put enough emphasis, or we simply don't spend enough resources on it. We never implement something is going to work. So why is that hesitation, including myself? I'm trying to, I was thinking when you mentioned that, why haven't done this, right? So why there's a hesitation that business owners don't take on this and implement this?
So there are a few reasons. Some of them are organizational. We set up again these large infrastructures. We invest a huge amount of money in digital tools. In fact, but in 2010, 2011, there were 150 digital marketing tools. There are 14,000 digital marketing and sales tools right now. So inherently, there is a reinforcement to rely on those. And once you go down that road, you sort of buy into digital marketing as the means to sell. Well, I'm not saying it doesn't, but again, my observation and the validation gathered through the book is that it has a role to play, but it's not everything. So that's one reason, an over reliance,
Mm.
because there's almost an inbred assumption, and it's because entrepreneurs are enthusiastic and we want to see growth, and we make an assumption that scale. Right, that's the promise of a lot of digital marketing tools. Oh, we can scale it, we can make it big, but scale does not equal growth. You can grow your organization department in marketing and sales and it could be vast. And still, the amount of growth you actually have, when you factor out all the cost, all the time for on the technology, on the training, on the staff, because staff is expensive, on the cycles, you find out that you haven't really grown that much. The profitability hasn't actually grown. So that's one thing, a inherent desire to scale, but rely on digital tools. Another reason organizations often don't look to systematize is because they take for granted that they're so awesome that business is going to come in the door. It's kind of an ad hoc way. We'll get referred business. We've got clients, they'll bring stuff to us. It'll just happen organically. But and I know, and everyone listening to this, if you want to achieve something, you have to manage it. You have to manage it well. You have to put it in targets. You have to put in systems. You have to monitor. You have to look for opportunities to improve. So again, the assumption that business is just going to come. That's another core reason. And tied to that is the assumption that the organization's ready. You know what? We have clients, we've had some successes, we've been growing. We must be ready for referrals. But quite often, companies themselves have not taken the steps to really think, why would someone refer them? Do they have the processes in place? Do they have the reputation in place? Have they quantified that? Do they understand the referral sources enough to say, yes, we are actually ready for a referral? And that's why, again, that's why it was really important to start to document what is required. So those are a couple of reasons. And I'd say the last one is the last prominent one why organizations don't take referrals, roll out of referral sources, um, not making a business case for it and allocating someone to do it because it takes time, once again, to manage a referral program. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that's a great point. That so you mentioned a few points, very important one, and let's unpack one by one. The first
Sure.
one you mentioned, and I saw that very often that technology because I live in a technology world as well. Easy to click a button, say, listen, okay, I'm done. I have done what I'm supposed to do because you guys so trapped in tools, technology, piece of softwares, CRMs, there's so many out there and they're very compelling. You get so trapped. Asking for in my mind is a human skill that you gotta connect with the other humans. It's a you may have to learn something. So it's a little bit more hard work on a human side. Where clicking a button and saying, okay, I have completed, I moved up to the next step in the process is a little bit easier way out. So that could be one of that training could be one of the issue there. But I've seen that very often that companies simply implement a bunch of tools and thinking it's going to do all the magic for them. To your point, we're in not polishing the human set of skills and going out and asking for referrals or building the program what needs to be built.
That and you're bang on, and I should qualify this as well. The Get Referred is about how to accelerate sales, particularly for business to business companies and those that sell a high value or big ticket offering. So something in excess of 70 or $80,000 per engagement. And there are a lot of companies, software as a service, professional services, as we know, financial services, where the value is immense. And so the tag is correspondingly high. And the risk for someone to refer is also because the potential buying client or customer is now thinking, wait a sec, I've got to, I've got to put out a considerable amount of cash. So that's another condition that people should think about when taking on a referral program is there considerable risk for the buyer? If there is, then there are going to be a lot of things that are going to prevent them or slow them down in the purchase process because they've got anxiety. They don't want to spend the money. They have an organization that's got processes where 14 people are involved in making a decision, for example, and you have to justify all those people and those that grinds decision making to a halt. But what's really impressive, Gurmeet, is and there's a lot of independent research setting aside even the research that we did for this book. Uh, 84% of B2B sales processes start with a referral.
Hmm.
That's incredible. And yet, B2B folks have not, we talked about a couple of reasons, they have not said, wait a sec, if it starts with a referral, why would I let it get diffused and go through any other way? Why would I then opt out to do the digital route? Why would I opt out to try to get in line for a proposal? It's coming from a referral. People see the value. And I'm going to go on a bit, so feel free to stop me. A key thing about referrals is it should be, if done properly, if we've helped referral sources, it's a full-throated endorsement where people say, Gurmeet, you need to speak to Andrew, and here's why. Here's why Andrew's going to help you. Here's why Andrew is relevant to you and your organization. Here's why you don't have to look at any others. And here's why it's important now. That's a, that's a true referral. That's someone who knows your business, who knows the business pains, who has trust of you and the referral source that they're introducing you to. And they speak um, well, knowledgeably. They're essentially repping for you. But there are obviously lots of reasons why that happens. So it's more than introduction. A good referral is one that is a hearty endorsement and one that is delivered at the right time and in the right way. And that's why referrals pushes everything. Like if you leverage a good referral source, you know the top of the sales funnel? Gone. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about building awareness. You don't have to understand intent. The referral source is bringing you at that point where it's almost at the conversion state.
But you still have to build awareness in your referral network, whoever's working with you, right? So you still have to, instead of educating the general public, you're gonna have to spend time because it starts from trust. Whoever's gonna refer you, you gotta start with the trust and build trust with these people.
So there were,
So
yeah,
you gotta educate and you gotta make sure they know exactly what you do, so you can build that trust, so they can go advocate your business.
that
Is that
that is true, and it's very much a one-on-one.
okay?
So you're right. You have to that referral source has to trust you and be trusted by the organization that you're targeting. It is the two elements of trust, and one without the other isn't going to turn into a referral.
So is that the reason why business owners are usually hesitant about it? Because building trust with the both parties takes a lot of time. It's a time consuming. You have to put a lot of efforts into it. Where other means could have a quicker result, like whether it's a calling or whether marketing side of things is a little bit faster compared to building trust over the time and looking for business.
Well, trust is something that doesn't happen overnight. There are things companies can do to build trust. I don't uh, necessar- necessarily uh, advocate an organization to try to harness referrals without having built trust with the referral source. That would not be worthwhile. But there are things that you can do in order to strengthen that trust with a referral source and make them, again, really make them successful at bringing you business. And so it is leveraging trust. It's leveraging a trusted relationship. And uh, so the building of trust is something that companies should be doing even even apart from referrals, right? With your clients, with your suppliers, with your employees, you should be actively building trust. And in fact, there are enough methods out there and techniques out there that you can build trust, monitor the levels of trust, protect trust. So it's not a mystery. It just takes time. But ref referrals and the system in getting referred is about leveraging it. It's about harnessing it well.
So is it the same approach if somebody build a product or another one is a service industry? Or is it a works that, the full program works the same way, whether it's to sell a product or services? Because products, it could be transactional. You're just pushing, once you have that, supply vendor relation, you're pushing a lot of products out in manufacturing business or any other business, right? Where services a lot more in a person services, right? So, or is it the same approach?
I liken it to project management. Project management is a discipline. With project management, you can launch software, you can pull together an event, you can build a building. The discipline of project management is agnostic because there are particular things that you do. There are certain measures you look at. There are certain processes. It's a discipline. Same thing with harnessing referrals. So it actually sweeps across different industries and professions. We have client that does manufacturing of equipment, of gym equipment, digital marketing agency. You would think a digital marketing agency would say, well, I'll just use their technology, I'll do this, but they recognize the importance of harnessing referrals. Um, Software as a service that's aimed at the legal profession, the legal profession itself, financial services, investment companies, big digital signage. So, what's common to these? These are all companies whose service has a bit of a considerable price tag. And so, the risk of buying these products and services are hastened by leveraging a trusted referral source. So that's the commonality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Sure.
So let's talk about, what has been some of the success and some of the where you see some people get stuck when they try to implement, your referral program. Is that a mindset issues? And where do you start in a company? Do you start on a top level? You have to have management's buy-in, or you just go to marketing company, marketing department, and that's where you build the large company I'm talking about. So where do they start, and how do they go about starting this program?
Oh, that's a lot. So let me start with your first question. Let me make sure I've got this right. It was a question about
What do you see some of the success, and where do you see some of the people get stuck when they
okay,
start the program?
sure. So let's talk about getting stuck because getting stuck is also the same, is very similar to not getting started in the first place as far as doing referral programs. And the they make certain assumptions about referrals.
Okay.
And I'm going to talk about the who refers. They make assumptions about who refers, when they refer, and why they refer. And these are assumptions that are often not spoken. They're just implicit, but even when they're made explicit and people sit down, oh, okay, we'll pull together a referral program. And they start from the wrong place. And this means that the referral programs are destined to failure. So let's talk about who refers business. So here's a myth, a grounding assumption that uh, prevents companies from having a successful referral program. This is a key one. And the myth is that your current clients are going to bring you referrals. And it's really not the case. That's not to say that current clients won't bring you business, but the reality is that professional colleagues, former clients, former employees, suppliers, even prospective clients are very much an essential part of our referral program. And the data bears this out that they bring in referrals more frequently than existing customers. And that might sound shocking. And let them just go down a little. Let me try to explain. Let me get two reasons. We go further in the book about that. But why is that? And one is what I call the babysitter effect. And Gurmeet, do you have kids?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever had a great babysitter?
Mhm.
Now, Saturday night, you want to go out. You use that babysitter and they're reliable and they do an awesome job. Are you going to tell people within your network about this babysitter at the risk of maybe that Saturday night that you want to go out, they won't be available?
Yeah, well, definitely there's a shortage of the services, right? So one person is doing it. So if they take a few more of those clients, I may be, it may be struggling to book who's gonna book, right? So definitely, yeah, there's gonna be hesitation because you think there's a shortage of that's availability of the person.
A shortage, and, they treat me so special, right? They're so awesome. So I'm not gonna share them. So that's one of the reasons why existing clients aren't the referral panacea that a lot of people think. The other thing is they know when when someone uses your services, they know your warts, right? They know the good, the bad, and the ugly of you. And very often, referral sources go, I love that company, but I'm okay with the warts because I've been using them for a while. But I don't really want to expose that. I don't want to expose people in my network to that. So it's you're either awesome, the babysitter effect, and they don't want to, or the companies go, well, I really know where the weaknesses are. And while I'm good with that, I don't want to put my neck out on the line by introducing or making a strong recommendation, knowing that the company I'm referring is not, it's not necessarily perfect. And no organization is perfect, but those tend to be the big reasons. So again, well, we're talking about the assumptions that referral programs and people make about referrals that have to be exploded. Otherwise, referrals won't happen. And when a referral program does happen, it's not going to be successful. So that's the who refers.
So let me
Yeah.
pause for a sec. So
Yeah.
what you're saying, so those two of those, if those are the top reason about people don't refer, Andrew.
Yeah.
So the approach, can you address those two issues and get over and deal with those two challenges? How would you deal with those two challenges? Can you simply talk to people, companies who think that I don't want to refer? Can you have that discussion with them and
Sure.
address those?
I'm a strong believer that if you've got someone who knows you, again, with the benefit of a referral, you don't have to spend money on building awareness, right? The client knows you. So, yes, this is where you look towards building your referral readiness. And that might very well mean taking a look at some of your internal processes, like client onboarding, for example, and making sure that you understand that when a client come on, when a referral brings you someone, you have to treat that new business or that new prospect better than your other clients. You have to, because your referral source is expecting that because they put their name on the line.
Yeah.
So and there was a section in Get Referred about getting referral ready, and it's not always easy. But I'm a big advocate. So, yes, companies can and should spend time and ask themselves the core question, which is really the core of the approach and core of the system. And that is, what do we need in order to make our referral source successful at bringing us the business we want? That should be the driving force behind all referral programs and taking responsibility. If the referral sources aren't bringing us the business we want, take responsibility and ownership and saying it's us. It's not that's very common in a referral program. What's wrong with them? We've given them brochures, we've given them emails to deploy, and they're not bringing us the business we want. You be a referral manager should be constantly looking and saying, how can we make that referral source more successful? And part of that is that look inside. So you're right. They should. Um, Let me just talk, if I can, about a couple of the other assumptions that really scuttle, really torpedo referral programs. And the other, we talked about who brings referrals. The other thing that is about when people refer. The assumption is that people will bring you refers when they understand your product or service. All they need to understand. That's why a lot of channel programs are very heavy on let's describe the product, let's describe the offering. But the reality is different from that. The reality is that people will bring you business when they feel confident that there is a fit for you and the organization they're referring. It's not just about product or service knowledge. That's not sufficient. So that's the who, the when. And the final big myth that, and you can see where if you developed a program to bring in referrals and you assumed it was clients and that you assumed that it was just all they needed to know my service, you could see that you're going to build a program in a different way than if you said, wait a sec, our most likely referrals are going to come not from clients and they have to understand fit. your program would be completely different.
Mhm.
Finally, why, right? It's the motivation. Why is someone referring? And the assumption is, and channel programs, and again, I've run channel programs, the predominant reason is it's assumed it's money, it's compensation. You're going to get something for referring. And I'm not saying that that's not a ball in play, but it is rarely the only ball in play. There are typically a cluster of motivations, and you need to understand why. You also have to recognize that those clusters are going to change over a period of time. Your referral source might be a director of a company right now, and they're bringing in the right kind of business because they're at that right place, and they have the skills and bringing it. But they get promoted or wooed away to another company, and now they're a VP. Okay, they may be in a different industry, they may be also at a stage of life where they've got kids, and so they're not devoting as much time to business. We have to understand, we have to spend enough time with referral sources to understand how these cluster of motivations are evolving over time. And when it comes to referral sources, often there are, and it's same thing as buying something. Sometimes you buy a service for a set of reasons, but you continue buying that service for another set of reasons,
Yeah.
right? There's the uh, hook reason and there's the hold reason. And the same thing happens with referral sources. They may be really intrigued. Money might be a key factor, might be a social. Wow, I really want to be seen as a connector. And that might be enough to hook them in to be a great referral source. But keeping them as a referral source that's bringing you the business you want, that could be a different set of reasons. And you need to spend the time. Um, and,
Very
and I think,
interesting.
and I think one thing that this reveals, something we talked about briefly, is the digital marketing approach is largely about scale, right? Automating and scale. When we're talking about referral programs, a company doesn't have to have tens or hundred, dozens or hundreds of them. You can be looking at a handful of referral sources who are skilled, who have the willingness, and who have the opportunities to bring you business and see revenues increased dramatically. You can see sales, you can see the number of people coming through your sales funnel faster, dramatically increase. Cut by, we have one client where their sales funnel from top to close was in excess of 18 months. Now it's under 5 months. And part of that um, and I'm sorry if this is going on a bit of a tangent, but a lot of services that aim to accelerate sales take the sales that are already in the funnel and try to push them through faster, right? Referral sources bring business of a different nature. They're already further down the funnel. So you don't have to
Speed up sales. You can speed up sales cycles.
you speed up sales because you've got a audience, you've got a target, you've got prospects who by their very nature have already moved through the funnel and they're at conversion versus trying to push ones that are already, trying to again build awareness, demonstrate that you're a thought leader, understand their intent, understand their purchase process. Trying to push existing prospects through the funnel is more cumbersome, more time consuming, more expensive than finding people who come through the funnel naturally. Your referral sources are bringing them towards the bottom of the funnel. So, of course, to your point, sales are going to increase dramatically. That's why you don't need tens and dozens and hundreds of referral sources who are firing.
Yeah, it's not only your sales cycle is smaller, Andrew, but also your cost of client acquisition is much lower as well that way because you already done all the work.
Exactly. That's right.
Okay. So business leaders or business owners who are listening, my colleagues. Let me put a couple of things into perspective. How does this program works the best way? Does business owners or business CEOs get involved in this, or do they? And you recommend they hire somebody just dedicated for this role, or they implement it in a part of this referral in every single department. So how do they approach and how do they implement this?
So the wonderful thing about, and I'm going to advertise for a moment, the wonderful thing about Get Referred is that a company it's written in such a way that you can run a pilot project. You don't have to hardwire it into your organization. That's probably the best approach for a lot of organizations is to try small, show that it works, and then people will go, I want me some of that, right? So build up momentum. So who within the organization? It really is anyone who has responsibility for generating revenue. So whether at a senior level, that might be a chief revenue officer, VP of sales, depending on how the configuration could be a business development leader, someone in marketing. In the States and in Europe, often marketing folks have responsibility for contributing to revenue. So it can fit under there. But anyone who is expected to generate revenue for the firm. As far as adoption, there are things that should be in place in order to make a successful program. But once people see the business value, and the business value of referrals is frighteningly obvious. This is what often is a bit of a surprise when you think that um, nearly 70% of BDP companies found that deals actually move through a sales funnel faster when they leverage referral sources. You'd think no brainer. And it is an important metric. Or that nearly 60% of customers coming via referral sources have a measurably higher lifetime value than customers not originating with a referral. Again, that's a key metric. And one of my favorites is about likelihood to close. 71% of leads coming via referral sources are more likely to close than leads coming without a referral. So having those business um, justifications often will have an impact on whoever is responsible for revenue. Again, whether it's the owner, whether it's an executive, whether it's part of senior management, once they recognize the business objective, that often is a real motivator to say, okay, let's do a pilot project. Let's try this out.
Very interesting. Um, one of the assumption I made early on, Andrew, is I'm always thinking the people I'm talking to, the companies I want to want to refer, do they need a similar program as well? So we're on the same page that they have my best interest, I have their best interest. That simply came from you see a lot of network events. There's a BNI or there's a lot of networking events they put an emphasis on that we all in it for together. I gotta do it for you, you do it for me. So they have the same mindset. Does that also work without those business group? If you wanna refer other people, they need to be in a similar kind of mindset or the similar program. So we help each other, or is it you can go without even them trying that program. You can simply just implement in your business and go out and generate referrals for your business.
So I would generally say that companies should start looking at different methods for leveraging referrals.
Yeah.
The thing that companies will find over a period of time is that they'll often get referred business that takes up a fair amount of time, perhaps not as far down the funnel, right? If you use some methods, you'll get stuff and you'll go, okay, that's interesting. And I feel a sense of obligation. I should really take that business because Andrew referred them. But that isn't always the best kind of business for you, and it's very ad hoc. Right? The idea of an exchange, that is you do this for me, I do this for you. I applaud any kind of clarity when it comes to setting expectations. But often what happens when over a period of time, there is an imbalance where, well, Andrew isn't bringing me the business I thought he was going to bring me. And then it's really, and this is where a referral mentality has to come in, where we have to say, okay, why aren't they? What is lacking in them, and how can I make them succeed? And so I would say any referral program, if that is the underpinning approach, and you say, how do I make Gurmeet succeed at bringing me business? Or how do I make Andrew successful at bringing me business? That is a foundational assumption and a foundation operating principle to get a successful program, regardless of whether it's, a seemingly straight transaction like BNI groups and H7 groups and a number of other groups that are out there. Again, I applaud them, try them, see what works. And if you have the assumption, I'm going to find ways to make my referral sources successful and hold on to that, that will naturally spin to having to answer some other questions. Again, about internal processes, for example. Do we have what it takes? Do we deserve to be referred? We might want to be referred, but do we deserve it? Do we deserve it now? What resources are we going to allocate to make sure that referral source is wildly successful at bringing me the business I want, that it's profitable? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, very interesting. Yeah, definitely. Because these groups have a different focus, but you want to keep your business focused, so it doesn't have to be group. You can build your own network. What I'm hearing that as long as you are in the same mindset that you have a best interest for each other, you want to make each other successful. You can build that without even having those groups around.
Yes. Yes, without a doubt. They're, again, something that I would advocate people try, right? I want the core reason for my work and for my book is to help businesses be successful at using referrals. To me, that the best way of doing that is saying, how can we make referral sources successful? But I'm a big advocate of trying different things. I've taken 30 years worth of experience and I've captured it in a way that helps people minimize the number of false starts that they have. And so, but I mean, even my next iteration of the book, I already know that there are going to be some new additions to the book. Um, because people have provided some great feedback, and they say, "Andrew, what about these things?" So, but yes, experiment. By all means, experiment. If you're if you don't want to experiment and use a proven method, then Get Referred provides you with that. Uh,
Yeah.
deep.
So, business owner were watching Andrew and listening to us rather on a podcast. If they decided they want to implement some program in a referral program, they never done it before. How do they start? How do they approach this? And how could you be any assist to them? If you walk us through what do you think the best approach that works when somebody start from scratch and they want to start implementing?
Sure. So, again, I'm going to assume a pilot project as opposed to hardwiring it into the organization. It may turn out to be a blend depending on the size of the organization. They may say, "Okay, we'll run a pilot project," and by the time they're actually starting to investigate and ask some questions, they may say, "You know what? This has this has legs. This should be part of our process from going on." That happens a lot. But a systematic approach to harness referrals, and I lay out a process, but it really has a few things that are central. So I know this sounds crazy, but set some initial goals for a referral source and set goals for someone who's going to be managing this program. I know that sounds silly, but
Hmm.
I can't tell you how many times referral programs will have gotten underway and people haven't actually articulated it. And so use some of the internal data that you have, use some of the historical data, um, and set initial goals. I suggest a bunch of different types of goals. Of course, revenue goals can be risk aversion goals, because part of the things that happen when you're pulling together a referral program is you actually find ways to improve client retention. It's a nice byproduct. Uh, personal development goals. So if you've got someone who's going to be managing this process, you may want to help them grow through and become better managers of people and a program. So again, very specific at the beginning, identify goals for the referral sources by referral sources and for the referral manager. Second thing is, and we've talked about this a little bit, is getting referral ready. So check your reputation. Have you quantified it? Do we know that we are prepared to ask our referral sources to put their necks on the line because they are repping our reputation? Do we have capacity to to deal with referred business and deal with them differently, better? And have we got onboarding that is a seamless process that runs well? So select initial goals, get referral ready, evaluate potential referral source candidates. This can is something that is critical because if we don't evaluate them, we will get referral sources that might be really enthusiastic but don't have what it takes to refer. And here's what I call basic referral math. This again is a foundational piece. Every referral source has to have three things, three qualities. If they don't have these three qualities, then I would say maybe include them in your referral source funnel, but they're not the ones that you start working with. They've got to have skill to refer. They have to have willingness to refer. They have to have opportunity to refer. And if
Mm.
they don't have those,
Mhm.
then you will be disappointed. Now, in truth, in truth, no referral source will have everything out of the gate. It's the referral program responsibility to say, okay, um, Andrew's got great skills. He's got interpersonal skills. He knows how to qualify. He knows how to work a room or whatever. This is a little uh, industry specific, but there's some basic interpersonal skills. Wait a sec, he's got those. He's got willingness, right? He wants to see us succeed, um, and but he doesn't have opportunities. So if I'm running a referral program, I'd say, all right, um, how do I get that? How do I get Andrew into those opportunities where he can tell our story, where he can qualify? So, skills, willingness, and opportunity. So, again,
Mhm.
select initial goals, get referral ready, evaluate potential referral sources, and make sure they have the skills, willingness, and opportunity to refer. Arm and activate your referral sources. This is where the rubber hits the road. This is where you're actually taking that time and filling in the gaps in those skills, willingness, and opportunities that your referral sources don't have. And again, this is why we really keep it down to a handful of people. And then measure results. Measure, is the referral business coming in at the frequency? Are they bringing the right business? Are they bringing the profitable business? Is the referral manager having doing their job? So are they running the program? So project goals. So measure results. So again, 5 steps, five um, key components of any program. Select initial goals, get referral ready, evaluate potential referral source candidates for skills, willingness, and opportunity, arm and activate your referral sources, and measure results. And then it goes all over again.
Yeah.
The
I saw in your books. I'll definitely include a link below this video as well. And it's all in your books. And I also like that interesting what you mentioned, skill, willingness, and opportunity. All that in your book explained very, very well. So I think those are great points.
Thank you. And Gurmeet, I know I've talked your ear off and you've been a generous host.
Learning. I learned so much.
Yeah, let me say, if you would like, I'm happy to give away a half a dozen copies of Get Referred to your listeners. I'm sure they'll reach out to you. You just let me know, and I'm happy to help them become better at managing referrals by virtue of this conversation and giving them a copy of Get Referred.
We'll put a link below the video. They can reach out to us that way. Interesting. So, if business owners doesn't have all the details, Andrew, and definitely the timing is always component that we don't have enough time to do that. Do you help out business to implement these programs as well? Like, do you work with the business owners?
Yes, yes. You're right. Business is messy, it's complicated, it's time consuming, it's a passion, and sometimes people want to be off doing their services or developing and rolling out their products. And so I can come in and act as either a guide to companies to help their sales or their marketing, their business development, or their executive make sure that they have a robust program that fires in all cylinders. So I can guide them, or I can take things off their plate so that they don't feel as if they have to do everything. But
Interesting.
as one of my clients says, the outcome of this is directly proportional to the amount of effort that's put into it. And that shouldn't be a surprise. That's just business in general. So if you want to manage, you want to manage it well, and it takes time and a discipline. But we're happy to support any company that wants to launch or improve a referral program.
Very interesting. There's so much to learn in this, in a referral. Definitely from a book that I learned so much from our conversation. There's so many, beside a book, there's so much I learned from our discussion as well, Andrew. Where can people get a copy of your book? It's on Amazon definitely, and we'll include a link below. And that's probably the right source to get it. Yeah.
That's right. They can also go to getreferred.biz. They want to learn more about Bridgemaker Referral Programs, which is the company, and learn more about the book. There's a video on the book. There's some feedback from purchasers about the book. But yes, I'd say contact Gurmeet. Sorry if I'm putting your name out there.
I'm going to include a link below this video so they can click a button and they can just reach out to your website or to Amazon and
Very
they can,
generous.
they can, yeah, definitely hit, everybody who's listening, from our discussion, I learned so much, and I will recommend business owners, business, or C-level people, if they want to implement something, a program like a Get Referral, reach out to you, have a conversation. Who knows how much, I learned so much. I'm sure they're gonna learn so much from your discussion as well. So I will definitely recommend. I will put your contact information below the video as well. They can click a button, reach out to you, have a conversation. Who knows where the discussion is gonna take? But that's how we go. We learn from each other.
Gurmeet, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I appreciate you allowing me this opportunity to share my passion for helping organizations get the best out of referral sources.
No, definitely. Thank you so much for your time. I learned so much. I'm sure people who are watching, they're going to draw great value. They're going to learn from the discussion as well, Henry.
Thanks, Gurmeet.
All right. Thank you so much.
Right.